Welcome to the Elevated Trader Podcast. I am Dr. Kristen Kidgel.
And I am Tracy Ball. Join us every week as we journey into becoming better traders.
We believe becoming better traders involves elevating our skill, mindset, and our health. In each episode, we will discuss the current book we are exploring, and we invite you to join us on this journey.
Are you ready to elevate your trading, mindset, and health to the next level? Let's do this.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Elevated Trader Podcast. Our new book is Fit for Life by Harvey and Marilyn Diamond.
Awesome. What a book.
You ready?
So ready. So ready. I'm crushing this book so fast. There's so much information. I cannot wait to get to the next chapter. I'm exhilarated at reading this book. Now, you and I are reading two different versions. You want to give a little bit of a backstory?
Yeah, sure. So it's probably been about 20 years since I read the one you're reading, which is the original one. Maybe 15 years. I don't really remember. But I do remember flying through it. Actually, I remember laughing out loud in a couple places, like, he's funny. And then, so this went on our list of books that I thought would be a good idea under our health category, because let's remind the listeners that we are attempting to read as many books as we can around health, mindset, and wealth, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm reading the Fit for Life Part 2. And this is interesting. It's already taken a slight little turn right out of the gate, and why is there a 2 and all of those things. So why don't you start with what you're getting out of the first one?
Oh, I am getting so much out of the first one. It is hard to encapsulate it all into one. I'm learning tons. And just to give a little bit of scope around what this book is about, it really is about, they call it natural hygiene. And when I first heard that, I was like, what the heck is that? Like, is that showering every day? Yeah, I do that. Do I, wash my hands after I go to the bathroom, et cetera, et cetera. But when they explain it, it makes complete sense. And what we're talking about here is, when you have a car, you clean your car, you take it for oil changes. When you have a house, you clean your house, you do maintenance. There's all sorts of different things that we do to take care of the things that we own. Yet here we have this incredible body, this human anatomy that is so vibrant and perfect and efficient, and we don't do anything to keep it clean. We don't take care of it. We take it for granted. And I really noticed how much I take it for granted when I was reading this book, and he's explaining the human body and its intricacies. And as he's doing it, I'm in awe, complete and utter awe of the entire human body. I was like, wow, it is so magnificent. When he's explaining it, you can't do anything but feel the awe of the human body. And it makes complete sense. So that was the first big takeaway that I got from it. Mm-hmm. And from there, it just continues to blow my mind. We can continue to go through all the little different things, but I wanted to first say, why is it important that we even take care of our bodies? Why is it important that we're even looking at health books? You and I decided to do, health, mindset, and wealth books. And this is our first health book that we've covered. Now, I have been in a place before in my life where I was in the best shape of my life. And I remember that time when I was in the best shape of my life. I have not forgotten it. Now, a lot of people have never been in the best shape of their life. And I don't think that they have any reference of what that could feel like. And that makes it a little bit more challenging for individuals that have never really been there. And I have, and I know how much I want to get back there. And I can say beyond a shadow of a doubt that when I was eating well and I was in the best shape of my life and I was exercising, I was at the top of my game. I was mentally alert. I was quick. I was capable. I didn't have that fog in my mind. I slept well, like everything was in balance, and that made me very, very efficient. Now, I'm not talking in my 19s or my teens and my 20s. I'm talking in my late 30s to early 40s that I was in the best shape of my life. So it wasn't that long ago that I remember this. And until I got into an accident and all that, I've been on the road of recovery and getting back to that place. But I've never lost sight of what that felt like, and I want to get there. In this book, wow. Wow.
First of all, how many books have we read so far?
I think this is our 8th or our 9th book.
And we're coming up on about a year, correct? Of recordings?
Yes, about a year of recordings.
Okay. Not a year of releases, but about a year of recording. Okay. I think that's important for people to understand. Like, we've been putting the health books off. We've been doing a lot of mindset books and a lot of trading books. Well, not a lot. It's, in a year from now, it'll be a lot. I only interrupt you just to say that I feel like it's part of the human experience if you're lucky enough to be able to grasp what health is, whether it's nutritional health, mindset health, financial health, just because health can be ill health or disease, right? But it can also be, I can pretty much conquer anything, the type of good health, which would be something that you would hope people would strive for. Okay, so I'm going to let you keep going because you're on a roll.
I was actually going to say before I continue, what are your feelings about the book? Do you even remember what it was like when you first read it?
Yeah, I do. So my background, many people probably just don't even know, is chiropractic. And I went through chiropractic school and graduated when I was 27. It's been a hot minute for those people that don't know. I've been practicing for over 24 years easily. So my fascination with human anatomy on the cellular level, let alone how all the cells create organs and how those organs work, fascinate me and have always fascinated. They were my most favorite classes. I was up front. I was actually, we had to have a certain amount of adjustments, appointments, so to speak, with the general public and with our own fellow students. And the staff typically wanted a student to be their chiropractor, when we were in there. And so I had the privilege of actually being the anatomy and physiology, which he also was the dissection. We had a year of dissection, human cadavers, which was super interesting. So that was like, my fascination has always been the human body and the amazement of it. And now in the last 5 or 6 years, I've moved into, mostly because research is just killing it out there around the brain, the subconscious, frequencies, energies, that we have an entire universe in a cell. Like, what? So I think it's kind of cool in retrospect that I have just continually to keep being fascinated and keep learning. But science has definitely helped along that parameters. But what blew my mind in the beginning was that I already had a background in nutrition, but it wasn't written in a layman's terms. All the books I had to read were more clinical. And so, like, how our teeth are designed and how milk is digested, like on a chemistry level. This book took the information and put it in with humor and just common sense stuff, along with the science and the research and all of the things that just joined in with what I already knew. And it was fluid. And that's the best word I can think of. It's written in a fluid matter that made it an easy read. And so I appreciate that you feel the same, because that was one of the first books I picked it up and I finished it pretty quickly. And that was very rare, especially for me back then. That was really, really rare. And I used the principles that we're going to talk about. And I remember feeling really good. So health has always been important to me. Taking supplements, eating a certain way has always been important to me. And the fact, and I have fallen off eating that way. And I just thought it would be cool to come back around and reassess it, and to do it together is going to be fun.
It is. And I've already started having conversations with people around me about this very information, because I think that it is so well explained that it makes sense. I get it. and some of the things I've heard before, I'll give you one of them. I had heard a long time ago that you shouldn't eat, a potato with your steak, right? And in fact, I think my husband had told me that and never really knew why, but said it causes bloating and all this other kind of stuff. And in this book, it explains why, and I totally get it now. But it's not just a potato with your steak. It's just mixing, the way that you mix certain foods together causes an issue. And I'll just tell you that the steak, when it's in your stomach, it requires an acid to break it down. Meanwhile, the potato requires an alkali to break it down. Now, my 15-year-old son, I asked him the question, what happens when you have an acid and alkali in your stomach? He says it neutralizes itself. He already knows that. Mm-hmm. I had forgotten that, but I knew that at one point, and I remember it now that I read it in the book. Totally makes sense. So when you have those two food combinations in your stomach, the digestive fluids that are getting put into the stomach can't do their job because they're getting neutralized by each other. Mm-hmm. Duh. I mean, it's so common sense, makes sense, but we've never thought about it. And I actually didn't know up until I read this book that a potato requires alkali to break it down. I didn't know that. I don't know why it's not taught in schools, but
oh, I know why.
Maybe that's because the food pyramid. Maybe that's because the food pyramid is funding schools. I don't know. It's
the food pyramid was back when this was written different than the one that is released now. Everybody also should be aware of that. And it was money driven. Mm-hmm. Significantly money driven. So I would like to go back around and talk about the verbiage of natural hygiene. I agree. It is a weird word. Mm-hmm. And one of the things, the beginning of part 2 that I'm reading talk about caught me a little bit by surprise. They said, actually, the book that you're reading, this part 2 book, was originally supposed to be the first book, but we thought that this information was too much too soon for the general public. So we thought, let's hit them with some information as like to test where the general public is, so to speak, and talk about weight loss. Because really, in essence, your book is around nutrition and weight loss. This book actually gets into natural hygiene. But what I also found fascinating, which is not new information for me, was when Harvey was trying to put his health back together, which, by the way, was in the complete dumpster. He, as a child at birth, it was a literal mess. He's like, okay, I want to get healthier. I want to go to school to help people get healthier. And he could not find any coursework around health. Mm. It was all around disease. Mm-hmm. And still almost today, I'd have to say probably in the last 15, 20 years, you may find coursework, actual degrees is what he was looking for around health. And it was taboo. Very, very taboo. Everything was around disease, but that leads to money. And so if you really if you want to follow the money trail, you're going to get upset about it likely. It was upsetting and disturbing to me what was happening back then and who had the money, and it was political, and it still is today when we're talking about disease feeds the pharmaceutical groups, and who the pharmaceutical groups get to, they have a lot of money, so they get into politics, blah, 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 blah. So we digress going in that direction of negativity, but I also just think it's really interesting that the part 2 is really the culmination of all the material that they wanted to release when they released the book that you were reading that became a huge hit. They didn't know. They had no clue. They never thought it was really going to be that big of a hit, and it was a huge hit.
I think it's good. I want to read the second book once I finish reading this one, so that's going to be on my list. I haven't been able to get it in Canada, but I'm going to keep looking for it. So I might have to buy it from a used bookstore or something like that.
I'll just mail you this one.
It sounds like a plan. That's all right.
No, your eyes are better than mine.
I actually want to talk a little bit about what you just said about the money trail and it making you mad. I want to say, first of all, and I'm sure that some people are going to get upset with me, but whatever, I'm going to call you out on it. I'm holding myself accountable for it as well. And I believe that every person on the planet has a responsibility to do their due diligence. And there's going to be people that don't have access to certain information that's going to make it very difficult for them to do that due diligence. But if you live in a first world country and you know how to read and you have access to books and libraries and information, the internet, all of those types of things, you have the responsibility to yourself to do your due diligence and look into things and investigate it, and not just take things as gospel. Don't take what I'm saying as gospel. Look it up yourself. Do the investigations, do the research, find it out for yourself. I'm giving you some of the information. Kristen's giving you some of the information right now. The books are giving you information, but see for yourself. And I think that it's important. And this is information that I'm going to read, but I'm going to know whether it works because I'm also going to do it. I'm going to try it, and I'm going to see, and I'm going to notice a difference on whether it works or whether it doesn't work. And I do want to say that this is not a diet book, because we talked about this being a book about weight loss, or a book that's more geared towards weight loss, but it is not a diet. And I don't personally believe that diets work in any way, shape, or form. I think that, like a lot of things, it needs to be a lifestyle change. If it's going to be sustainable, it has to be a lifestyle change. And a lifestyle change means that it's something that you want to do. You have to be able to make that change, and you have to be able to be okay with whatever decisions that you're making. So there's that. Now, I got to say, because the biggest challenge for me anyway is going to be when we eat out. And like last night, my husband and I went for dinner, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I have all this information in my head, and I'm looking at the menu going, there's nothing on the menu that I can eat, because they're just about every single thing is combining the wrong foods in the wrong way. It is doable. It's just a challenge. And my point that I'm trying to make is that I'm now aware of it. And I have to say that the restaurant that I went to, I still went ahead and bought or ordered food that I normally would order. I didn't make any accommodations. I didn't try. I mean, I tried. I limited what I did get, but there were still food combinations that I didn't avoid. And I can tell you, the minute that I walked away from that restaurant, I felt the bloat. I felt the discomfort and the agony in my stomach. And I don't know if it was increased by the fact that I know what I'm not supposed to do, and I was doing it anyway, and my body's saying, hey, you know better, cut it out. Or if it was just me being more aware of the reaction of the body, if that makes sense. So,
absolutely. Well, it's new for you.
It's very new for me.
This is not new for me. I've always been the person that is it's just basically the easiest term to go by is picky. I'm picky about what I consume. And have I always done this combining that they're recommending? No, but when I did it, it definitely felt better. I'd like to wrap this episode up with hoping that people go get this book. Like before they go to the next episode, like order it online, get the Kindle, and join us with this one, because it's be really fun to really get to do this one together with people.
Absolutely. And I also want to end on one other note that's not related to the book, but I want to give a little shout out to the person that created our logo, our new logo that we've put onto our website and changed our podcast cover, all that stuff. It was done by Celine Bradshaw, who's amazing. And I will throw her link in the description of this episode for you. So if you guys want to check out some of her work, please feel free to do that. She's an incredible graphic artist. So thank you, Celine.
Yeah, I'll tag her in some of the social media too.
Absolutely. All right. So we'll see you in the next episode, everyone. Take care.
Thank you for joining us today. For more information about the show, as well as our list of current reads, check us out at www.theelevatedtrader.com.
Remember to subscribe and share if you found value in today's episode. See you next week.